This is Alex once again from Remote Work Life, and I'm with my friend Henrik de Gyor, who is a consultant, a remote consultant that I've known for many years now. And I interviewed him as a guest probably about 5 years ago now. But since then, we've worked together, we've networked together, we've shared ideas together. So I wanted to speak to Henrik because the world, as you know, is evolving, and AI is definitely at the heart of that. And Henrik is somebody who, like me, is trying to stay close to what's going on in AI. And Henrik also has an AI company, which I'd love him to introduce as well. Henrik, I just wanted to say thank you for joining me today. And as ever, you're very welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alex, for having me on the show. Yeah, I'm Henrik de Gyor. I'm with the Chief Digital Officer for myaifluency.com, and look forward to our conversations. Thank you.
Yes, and the conversation is going to be around AI because, like I said, it's a subject that is at the heart of work and the heart of life. And for me, it's something that I want to be at least understanding in terms of the direction it's going. There's a lot of focus on tools, which I think it is good in a sense, but I think where the tools are concerned, it can leave you wondering which tool to use, which tool to choose. And I think when we were speaking, Henrik, I think we were more along the lines of how to use AI, sharing how we use AI, in the hopes that through learning out loud, we can help people who listen to the podcast and people who are either new or sort of future listeners to the podcast. So, yeah, is that also your take as well, Henrik?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. And I think it's not about the tools themselves, to your point, because the tools are literally that. It's like screwdrivers and hammers. Like, no one cares what screwdriver created my car or what hammer created my house. It's not about the tools. And we have a lot of focus on tools because there's thousands of them that are AI tools. So yes, there are some more relevant than others that are relevant to what you're trying to do today, or what anyone is trying to do. But we're going to focus more on the thought process of like why and how to get to AI first and be relevant and remain irrelevant in today's market, if that helps. Thanks.
Yeah, and I think, and where it's even more relevant is that we as knowledge workers, as desk workers, especially working remotely, you, from my perspective, I'm always trying to find ways and means of working as efficiently as possible. And I think AI, as I said, I'm not an expert where AI is concerned. AI is actually beginning to help me to do that. And it's something that it's undeniable that AI is going to be, or is the future of work and how work is done. And to that end, I think, as I said, sharing what we know is going to hopefully help. So from my perspective, and possibly yours as well, Henrik, because obviously Henrik's going to share his perspective as well. We're not focusing on tools, as Henrik said, and as I alluded to. We want to flip that, and we want to really, as I said, look at how AI can hopefully enhance our sort of day-to-day work, but also enhance our careers, because that's another important aspect, is that neither myself or Henry, we don't necessarily want to be, I guess, in a position where we're left behind in a sense where people are moving and developing their careers with an AI first perspective, or at least AI being part of the work. So we want to be able to do that as well. And the tools will change over time. And that's why I think it's so important, not necessarily at this point anyway, to focus on the tools. The problems and the workflows are the things that are stable, I guess, in a way. So it's more us focusing on that. So things like the meetings, you and I, we use AI quite a lot, don't we, Henrik, for our own meetings when we're getting together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. To transcribe, to summarize, to actually schedule things very easily, to schedule follow-ups, to understand who's accountable and who's going to do who has an action item to do this or that, the other thing, to even summarize podcasts and create content. There's so many different things you can do as far as just meetings. To your point, yeah.
Writing as well. Writing is something that I'm actually, I didn't really, I've never grown up as somebody who's enjoyed writing, because writing, it takes, it takes a lot of effort.
Yes.
I can remember even writing essays and theses as part of university. It was just a long process.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never been somebody who's enjoyed writing, but I must say that's changed quite a lot, because again, now I'm using AI, not to write the first draft, not to write the final draft, but to sort
Mm-hmm.
of get the ideas, get
Mm-hmm.
the flow,
Mm-hmm.
get the insights.
Yes.
Even writing emails as well. Writing emails was something that has improved. Writing messages, direct messages,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of different things. So that's another thing another of the workflows that I think is sort of trickled its way into
Mm-hmm.
my day-to-day work. I don't know about you, Henry.
Totally. Yeah, I agree with you, because everything from ideation, meaning creating those ideas, like having an idea of, well, what should I create me an outline of what this should look like, or draft one, right, at the very minimum, just for the generation of ideas. And then even if you throw away 99% of them, you still have a kernel to start with, and then, or a seed that you can plant. And then from that, it can grow based on you as the human in the loop and the AI. It's not you or AI, it's you and AI. And people aren't going to lose their jobs from AI. They're going to lose from people using AI. So
100%.
that's something else you probably you wanted to discuss.
Yeah, 100%. Well, on the jobs front, I mean, it's, you may or may not know. I don't know if you know this, but my background is hiring, is executive search. I mean, I've shared this conversation with Henrik, but I wanted to share it with everybody else. Is that was my background. So hiring is something else that we're going to explore in this series of episodes, and something totally unexpected as well, Henrik. I found myself, which we're going to go into a bit more detail about, but using ChatGPT for things like health, decision making, and coaching. And this is for my own personal health, decision making, and coaching. That was something that just happened to me unexpectedly, Henrik. And I think you were saying as well, it's something that, in fact, I shared it with you, thinking that, am I sort of crazy to use AI for this sort of thing? And when I shared it with you, I was quite relieved to hear that you also you also have been using it for that respect as well.
Yeah. So I use it for my wellness plan and my dieting, which I lost like 40 pounds in like 6 months using it. Not that it's a diet plan, but I also used it where I got my blood results, and I was keen to get the results of, like, what should I do to ameliorate this level that's high or too low? What should I do about it to normalize it? And removing the personal identifiable information from the blood work and just putting in the numbers straight from the PDF that I got from the lab, I was able to put it into AI, and it was churning out. I was like, okay, so look at these numbers, and whatever number is not normal, let me know what I should do about it. And it gave me instantaneous results instead of waiting for a doctor's appointments and waiting for, and when I say waiting, it's sometimes months, and not based on my schedule, based on their schedule. So it's like getting results. When it's your health, you don't want to wait. So it's like, why wait when you can get instantaneous results from AI, which you can ask multiple AIs if you're curious, and see if the results are different, which sometimes people do, right? But it's really a matter of getting results faster and getting more relevant results faster and accurate results faster. And the more you practice how to ask and how to get that, the more likely you're going to get it, even for health results or coaching or decision making or ideation. To your point, Alex.
And just to reiterate, we're not in this series. We're not teaching. We're not giving advice necessarily, because as I said, we're not going down that road. But we're just
Mm.
sharing what we've done. And just to sort of piggyback off Henrik's point there about the health side of things, I found myself, Henrik, and I was explaining to you, I've had this shoulder problem and also back problem actually for a number of years, and I've been to chiropractors, I've been to doctors, physiotherapists, Pilates, yoga, you name it, and I've never really sort of got to the nub of the problem as much as I've had X-rays, I've had MRI scans, so I know the sort of how they described the actual sort of the root of the problem, but there's been no sort of remedy necessarily offered. They whether you go to the physiotherapist or the doctor here, they just give you this. Well, they gave me anyway. In my experience, they gave me this sheet with exercises to do every so often,
Mhm.
but it's not necessarily. It's not prescribed. It's not prescribed for you. It's just a general form that they give everybody. So I then found myself using AI to sort of diagnose my problem. And to your point, Henrik, was I was actually talking to it and having detailed conversation. Find myself having a detailed conversation with my AI on Chat GPT,
Yep.
telling every step of the way what the actual problem was, where it originated, how it affected me, what I could and couldn't do, the sort of pain I was in, how long the pain was there. And okay, it didn't necessarily, I don't know if it did diagnose the problem, but it gave me a sort of a very close sort of understanding of what I needed to sort of begin to do in order to sort of remedy the problem. So,
Mhm.
which I did. I started to build myself up, build sort of the muscle in the areas that I needed to build the muscle based on what the AI had said.
Mhm.
And my strength and my sort of my pain has gone completely. So there was a point where I couldn't, for example, stretch back to put my coat on without a sort of a twinge of pain in my sort of that part of what they call it, the rotator cuff area of my shoulder on my left hand side. So there was a point where I couldn't even do that. But now I'm at a point where I can do all sorts of things. I can do press ups, which I couldn't do a year ago. I can lift. That's my shoulder. My back, I could barely lift shopping without pain radiating in my lower back and my back going into spasm as well. So it's like now I'm it's night and day. I can lift shopping bags. I can lift my daughter on my back. That sort of thing. And I have to put some of that down to AI.
So better advice from AI, like almost a focused friend.
And this is it. And I think it is a focused friend. And from the coaching respect, it became because I was sharing quite a lot of the information in terms of the problem, it became more than a focused friend. It became somebody who's well, it's not somebody, something, said something that is helping me with real problems and overcoming real problems and
Mhm.
getting to the point of problems. So that's something else.
Yep. A
You
sounding
know,
board. Yeah, sounding board for even I've heard it being used for mental support because a lot of people are lonely and they don't have anyone to talk to, and they're using it for that so that they can have a proper conversation with. And doesn't sound robotic anymore, which is the best part. And it will focus on what you want it to focus on, and that for the most part, it's been positive. Yes, there are some glitches here and there on occasion, but for the most part, it's for the better. And but there's two camps to it, right? There's the fear camp, which is still sizable. Like the people who are afraid to use it for a variety of reasons, but mostly because it's new and they don't understand it. It's confusion. It's like, oh, I hear bad things about it in the media. Well, that's when do you hear good things about it in the media? I used to work for the media. I know they don't focus on anything good. That's for
oh
sure.
yeah,
so, so of course they're going to say negative things, but more importantly, the AI will, or any AI tools, most AI tools are there to as tools. They're literally tools. They don't feel either way. They will tell you what you want to hear, and you can tailor them and tailor your experience to tell you more rigid or less rigid information. So if you need to talk about your mental health, you can. Um, at some point, you may need help with humans, depending on the challenge, right? Because we're not in the age of robotics yet, but that's coming very fast. My assumption is we'll be seeing robots before the end of the decade in pretty much everywhere. It's just a matter of scale and building and price point, of course. But they're already available. It's just it's a price point issue. But yeah. So what else are we going to talk about?
Well, one subject of fear, I think that I've, in my conversations, I think, and not just conversations, but also generally when you hear, like you said, the media side of things, where there's, I guess, the fear of AI taking somebody's job. I think there are definitely areas of work that is true. So, for example, in the graduate arena, for example, so in the jobs where it requires more administrative and process-led tasks, which used to be disseminated to graduates or people who are at a very junior level, um, there is there is certainly some justification, I guess, in that area.
Mhm.
But I think what that's going to mean is that graduates are going to have to come out of university with a different mindset. Um, I think because the roles are going to be, so the structure of work is going to become a lot flatter than it is currently. So with that in mind, the junior roles which are going to disappear, graduates coming out of university are going to have to think more like how they can use certain skills to compete with people who are perhaps have been working in the workplace a longer time. And AI, I think, will enable that as opposed to sort of disadvantaging them. So there is a lot there. So there is fear, but I think it can be eliminated in some ways. But to your point earlier on, I think the people who use AI and sort of study AI as you and I are, in order to do those tasks better, and also you have to be patient. I think another point you made earlier on is that it's not perfect by any means as well. Nothing's gonna be perfect. So you have to, and it makes mistakes as well. So you have to hold it accountable to those mistakes and don't just feed it with a question and expect the answer straight away. I think it's going to require patience and a different mindset from people who are going into the workplace in order to study it, to learn it, to make it part of their day-to-day work, to eliminate those fears,
Yeah.
because there is definitely a lot of fear going on at the moment. But there are also those people as well that, through their own ignorance, I think, or their own ego, in a way, put a blocker in the way of put their own progress, and in some ways other people's, by casting aspersions or even just refusing to use it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think those are also the people who will hopefully they will sort of turn a corner and realize that there's no resisting it. I think, but what they should do is try to, I think, be more on board with it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I know we'll have a different episode specifically around hiring, but around the ego and the fear. Interestingly enough, so law firms require new junior associates to have AI skills. They have to have them in order to scale, because they know that the AIs already know every law in every jurisdiction. So it's just a matter of how are you going to leverage that versus what are you going to go look at it in the books again? It's like, why would you waste the time? So it's like, yes, you can qualify it again. Yes, you can get all the citings and citations and all the fun things that you need, so that you can document it properly. And then in the medical sense, again, I was speaking to someone who works for a hospital group, and they were mentioning, oh yeah, we're using AI for email to sort our emails, right? So like, oh, this is patient emails, this is kudos, emails about accolades and things like that. These are complaints. These are emails from my superiors that I need to prioritize and things like that. And then I asked them, as like, oh, so do you use it for the scans and to evaluate scans and things like that, like for body scans and all the things. And that she was mentioning that there was a lot of resistance in that, and that the certain surgeons preferred to assign people, and this is back to ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would prefer to assign a human to doing it. Whether they're using AI or not, that's not really the point, right? They would rather, instead of getting the information themselves,
Mm.
they're delegating it to another human. So,
Wow.
so, so there's still that resistance too. So it's not just fear; it's ego that's in play, which I found interesting to study and
Yeah.
understand that that's part of the resistance. Is like, I'm better than AI. It was like, are you sure? You want to test that theory?
That reminds me of something. I was speaking to somebody in the social care within a social care practice. I don't want to be too specific, but unfortunately, there's apparently, according to her, there's a few people being made, their roles are being made redundant. But when I dug a bit deep, because I felt a bit sorry because nobody wants anybody to be made redundant. I've been made redundant myself a couple of times. I know how it can impact people lives. It doesn't just impact the person usually.
Mhm.
So I felt really bad for that person and those people who are being made redundant. But what I understood was that it, AI was at the heart of those redundancies because I think what's happening more and more is that the roles that require information and sort of the dissemination or the research of information literally taken over by AI because AI can find any sort of, it's got a sort of infinite knowledge in terms of healthcare and social care. And my understanding was that there were a few people that didn't want to go down that route in terms of using AI to sort of find that information. And those are the people apparently that were losing their roles. I don't know if it's because they feared using it or didn't know how to use it, or I'm not sure which one it was, but I could see from that conversation, and hopefully that's not I think that conversation may be replicated across different industries, but I would just urge people just to try to embrace as much as possible, even if it means just learning Chat GPT. There's a Chat GPT Academy, for example. Just learning those little things here and there. And I don't want to go into too much detail about this because we're going to go into more detail in a later episode, but just
Yeah.
embracing it, just learning it step by step and sharing with people what you're learning. It
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily have to be in the public. It could be just sharing it with your manager, sharing it with your colleague, just to show that you're trying, you have willing to sort of learn and develop.
Yeah.
So I think those are the people that are going to be the people that are valued and perhaps given the opportunities to grow
Mhm.
within business.
Right. To your point, the resistance is not going to be welcomed in the workforce. So once companies have strategies around AI, which is something that my AI Fluency does as well, once they have a strategy and understanding how they're going to be AI first, and they're going to have that runway and understand what tools are going to be relevant to them and all the things, it's now really about the willingness to use that and understand what's relevant to them, what's relevant, because not every tool is going to be relevant to every department, right? There's going to be tools that are specifically designed just for their department, hypothetically speaking, and their role and what they need out of it, right? So if it's just looking up information, pretty much any AI, if it's fed the right information, can give you that information with very accurate results and just give it to you very, very quickly. So it's speed, it's scalability, and then it's efficiencies. But then there's a flip side to that, which we'll talk about in that hiring episode coming up soon, where If you're overzealous of the efficiencies and you think that I, as a human, can run the entire company myself, and I'm going to lay off my entire staff, which, to your point, is starting to happen because they're overzealous on the firing, and then they go, "Oh, we actually needed the humans for something else, not looking up information." Because most people, if they have a smartphone, they know how to look up information. Now it's just going to be much faster than the
Yep.
standard searches on the web to find that information. It's going to be much more focused, and that's the game changer, one of the game changers. So there's yeah. Mm-hmm.
This, yeah. Actually, tell us a little bit more about AI. Yeah, my AI, can't say it. My AI fluency, um, in terms of how you're helping where AI is concerned, Henrik, please.
Sure. Of course, yeah. So at myaifluency.com, you can go there and you can sign up for a community. You can sign up for time with us. So me and my co-founders who are working on finding the right tools for first the individuals, right, who come to us, and then they invite us into the company to help the company. Because if we can help the individual and they get the light bulb moment going, I get it. I understand that this is what I shouldn't be doing anymore. These are the tools that can help me with this. And these are the tools that my clients can use directly, and I can white label them or whatever that looks like, or use them for a different set of businesses or new business units or whatever that looks like. So there's money generation to be done as well as efficiencies to be had. And then there's efficiencies in productivity, individual productivity, right? Not just at work, at home as well, which we'll talk about as well in the future episodes, and many other things. And it goes all the way to the level of scaling ourselves. So I've done this actually because I have so much writing and so much podcasting and the books and all the things that I've done. I fed it into AI, and now I created a digital twin of myself. So you can ask questions to the digital twin of me, right? And anybody can do this, right? So you tell it all the things that you've done before. Elon Musk was one of the first people to do this for obvious reasons, because he's kind of busy and doesn't have time to talk to everybody. But you can talk to his digital twin all day long, right? And get answers basically from the mind of Elon Musk. But you can do the same thing and create your own digital twin. It's not necessarily the likeness. Yes, you can digitize your likeness as well. You can digitize your voice. I've done that as well. So it's really a matter of how quickly do you want to scale yourself, and do you want to? So some people want to, some people don't. Some people see enormous value in that, particularly if they're a public speaker or an actor. Some actors have already done it, and they're making millions of dollars in ads, and they're sitting at home doing absolutely nothing because they can be in 1,000 movies in the future at a time and be collecting on royalties. So imagine that.
And my point of view is that I think it's important that one does go to a point of cloning your own voice, for example, or cloning your own image, your own likeness, because that's your IP. And I think just for example, there's somebody who we're going to talk about in a future episode, a doctor whose name I'm not going to reveal at this moment. So she's not a doctor; she's an entrepreneur, and she's done something I think is just, it makes sense, but at the same time, it's just to me, it's just amazing. It blew my mind. So she was ill for a very long period of time, and it was a debilitating illness to the point that she couldn't move, she couldn't, get up and have the energy to meet clients. It just really wiped her out. So what she did was she cloned not only her voice, but she cloned her, her image as well. And she made it into a weekly podcast, a video podcast. And the story goes is that she basically, well, not story, because I listened to the episodes on YouTube. Her business was, she was able to maintain her business throughout the period where she was sick. And to a degree, she was able to earn even more when she was actually, not physically doing the business. And for me, I mean, I tell that story because I myself, as a podcaster, you're so heavily reliant on your voice. You're not thinking about podcasting to earn money. I'm not thinking about it from that. That's not my sort of prior. It's not my prime part of my thought process.
Me neither. Yeah.
But it has to come into it because people are using podcasts as a means of generating business, as means of generating, building their personal brand, for example, or just connecting with people. So what happens if you fall sick or if you lose your voice, as I did? I wasn't able to podcast, and I hadn't batch recorded multiple episodes. So I thought to myself, how do I do that then? So I've cloned my voice. I've started to clone my voice, but I haven't. I've released a couple of podcasts, but I have to say I plan to do more cloned voice podcasts. And I think the way that this particular entrepreneur has done it is beautiful, because she tells people it's a clone, and it is obviously a clone after you watch it each episode, but she did something that really I think people really should think about doing. How do you clone, even if it's not cloning your voice, it could be cloning your sort of your ideas, so
thought processes,
your thought processes. Somebody else will do it if you don't,
and they can.
So that's just a little taster, I guess, from Henrik and I about where the show will be going. Whether this is not everything that the remote work life podcast will be about, but I think it's important to include this because of the things that Henrik and I have mentioned, specifically the workflows, working more efficiently, scaling yourself, keeping your career on track. If you're hiring people, how to do it. All these different kinds of things are really important, which is why I wanted to introduce this as part of the Remote Work Life podcast, and introduce somebody like Henrik who, is into AI and has my AI fluency as part of his business. So, Henrik, I really want to say thank you for joining me today. It's been good, and I'm looking forward to how this series is going to progress.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate being on the show again. Look forward to the next episode.
Watch out for the next episode. Speak to you again soon.